We gather here tonight to bring women back to their rightful place.
The Testaments, a new Hulu original series from the executive producers of The Handmaid's Tale.
It's easier to accept a story than believe that the people around you are monsters.
The battle isn't over.
There comes a time when you have to take action, when you have to choose your own destiny.
Never quite as it seems.
Watch the new Hulu original series, The Testaments, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, joining us now is Norman Seabrook. He was president of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association for many years and a great former law enforcement officer. Norman, thank you so much for joining us here on the show, on the Rita Cosby Show. Norm, fill us in on what's sort of the latest. And first, your reaction to this just terrible decision, I think, by the judge.
Well, Rita, first and foremost, thank you for having me. And I think the first thing that the governor of the state of New York will not do is she will not make a move because she's worried about reelection and allowing herself to be separated from the Black and Latino community. So that's number one. Number two, I think that's very, very important that people need to understand is that this sergeant, the detective that went out there to do the job of protecting the Blacks and Latinos of the community of the Bronx did not go out there in anticipation of killing or involving himself in something that would have resulted in a death of an individual. The third thing that I think that's very, very important is that people seem to forget is that the people of the community continue to cry for help in our communities when Black and Hispanic kids are shot down by bullets in the streets of New York. The fourth thing that I'd say is that this sergeant was a leader of a task force that allowed to take 50 guns off the streets of New York. And if you take a 9mm and you put 10 rounds in each one, that's 500 rounds that could have been killed by a Black or Latino child killed in the Bronx. The fifth thing that I'd say is more importantly than anything else is that this individual sergeant did not go out there to do that. He did something in anticipation of protecting the community, and unfortunately, this happened. He didn't pull his gun. He didn't shoot his gun. He didn't try to strike this person down by just shooting off stray bullets. Something happened. It fell astray, and at the end of the day, this young man died, and I'm sorry for the family of this young man that died, but at the same time, think about all of the people that were killed by the things that continue to go on in Bronx County, Queens County, Kings County, all of these counties around the city of New York. I think that the sixth thing that I'd say, Rita, is that's very, very important is that this individual sergeant is now housed at Rikers Island. But I will tell you in full disclosure, as I spoke to some individuals, that this individual now is housed at what's called I'm not even going to say where he's housed at.
Yeah, don't say, but he's in sort of a separate area. Is that safe to say?
Yes. That's safe to say.
Good.
He has a television. He has a telephone. He has his own shower. He will be escorted to and from by a supervisor and a correction officer. He's in good hands right now until the appeal comes in play, where he's allowed to continue to fight the case from the street as opposed to fighting the case from behind the gate. Rita, you know firsthand how I believe so much for correction officers, police officers, firefighters, the blue-collar worker of the cities of New York, and what you do is so important to us. What John does is so important to us. And I think that some people seem to forget something here. And the most important thing is that they forget here is how many Black lives really matter.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And Norm, you're an African American and as someone who's been in law enforcement a long, long time. And you bring up a great point. This is a guy who was in the community trying to protect the community. And yet this happened. And to me, this is shocking that this judge made this decision and said, this is a deterrent. what is he saying? It's a deterrent from what law enforcement doing their job, and what kind of impact does this have on law enforcement in New York and around the country? Because this petition to hopefully keep Eric Duran out before the judge came down with his decision, there were 11,000 officers from around the world. This case has really touched the globe because there were so many officers who say, we just make these decisions. And it was a terrible accident that the guy died, but the officer was trying to do his best. So what message does this send? What kind of chilling effect could this have on officers, sadly, Norm?
I think that this sends an effect of the Blasio administration has set a precedence in the city of New York that hands off, do whatever you want, have a nice day, and whatever it is what it is. But you see, the problem that we're faced with in the city of New York is that people forget safety and security is number one. We seem to forget that there is a thin line between love and hate. We all get that. But at the end of the day, you take a guy like Raymond W. Kelly, someone who was loved by everybody. This man could do no wrong. And he did his job the way that it was supposed to be done. And that's why I respect the present police commissioner, Tish, for doing the job that she's doing. But something is missing here. What's missing here is that the public doesn't really understand what the police officer, correction officer, firefighter goes through. When a firefighter saves a black child or a Hispanic child from a Bronx fire 5 stories high, they don't care about that. It's a one-day story. We don't honor that. But 343 of them were lost in 9/11. They don't care about the police officer that goes into a gun battle and saves 5 or 6 young kids that are shot, in the parks, in St. Mary's Park or Bronx Park East or Williamsbridge Park. They don't care about that. We seem to forget that. But I will say this to you, Rita. All of the listeners listening right now know that they are the ones that want the police protection in our communities, but we have to support them. We have to support them. We have to come out to the courts and tell those judges that, hold on a second, man, you're making a mistake here. He took 50 guns off the street. If you take a 9mm with just 10 rounds in it, at 50 guns, that's 500 rounds. 500 rounds that could have been shot and killed by a young black or a Latino child or a white child or an Asian child on the streets of New York City, simply because this man was so aggressive. He didn't have no disciplinary action. He didn't have something. He did not go out here trying to destroy the life of someone. He went out here trying to protect the community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Get in the head of the law enforcement. And you know what's amazing to me, Norm, and everybody, we're talking to Norman Seabrook, who was president of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association for many years. And Norm, how could a judge, you would think a judge would know better. They understand that police officers have tough jobs. I mean, get in the head of the law enforcement and also defer to the officer. When I say defer, listen to, okay, if he's saying my goal was not obviously to kill this guy, my job was to stop this guy so he couldn't create further harm. To me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if it had been in a jury trial and I was on the jury, I would say, I can't convict this guy. You know, I think he genuinely made a mistake. It's a terrible tragedy. I feel bad for anybody losing their life. But, and yet that's not what happened here. In this case, they went after him, and to the point where he's behind bars. You have a cop behind bars. I mean, this is shocking that a judge doesn't know better.
I think part of it is because the judge gets in his or her car and drives to his or her home way away from the South Bronx, way away from the violence and the effect of the community, of the drugs, the crack, the epidemics, the gang violence, and everything else. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from what the city is trying to do to build us, to make us better. But I will say this, and I think this is very, very important. We've got to be able to have a line of communication, and I think that WABC gives us that line of communication. Some people may or may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We're in uncharted territories. And being in uncharted territories, and Rita, you're an expert. You've been to Afghanistan. You've watched people be executed. You've been there, done that already. And people don't understand that. And the reason why they don't understand it because they never heard that from us before. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to allow ourselves to establish some type of communication between the public and the police. And the police are being subjected. And these same police officers are children of mothers, fathers that live in our community.
Yeah, I agree. And we need to love and appreciate them and appreciate they're just trying to do the best they can to protect all of us. Norman Seabrook, thank you so much. And thank you for your great service, my friend, with the Correction Officers Benevolent Association. Always great to get your perspective. Thank you so much, Norm.
Thank you, Rita. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.